Hey, I'm Alex Rackle from Board Game Co, and this is News and Week in Review, where we're going to dive into the news. We're going to dive into the creator highlights, the schedule of the week, all of that and more. Links and timestamps to everything down below. Let's go ahead and start off with news. We have a few news pieces for you. We have Fateforge Chronicles of Khan, which is Kin of the Wild, is going to be launching on Kickstarter in February of 2025. We are at that point. We're starting to announce our 2025 titles. You know, I'll see. Once upon a time, when I first started covering crowdfunding, I did a video of the upcoming, my most anticipated crowdfunding games. And I was one of the, I did it like, you know, for next year, for all upcoming years. I don't know. I've done this a few times when I first started, but like, I don't know like what they currently are. Maybe I'll do a most anticipated crowdfunding for 2025. That could be a good video. I probably should do some research, figure out what's coming. Pretty sure Massive Darkness 2 would be on there, but I don't know Massive Darkness 2, the expansion. What do you call that? Massive Darkness 2.5. I don't know what you call that, but either way, excited for that. We'll see what happens there, and I don't know. I'll find out. I might do that video. Anyways, Fateforge Chronicles of Khan, Kin of the Wild, coming in 2025. We have over here, we have Dice Throne announcing Organized Play. Age of Fortitude, Dice Throne Organized Play is returning. If you are a Dice Throne Organized Play player from their past when they've done it, or whatever, they'll be coming out with new promos, new game modes, new things like that. So if you are a Dice Throne hardcore fan, here's your opportunity to get more involved in it. We have two competing might be the wrong terminology. Alternative viewpoints is the right terminology. We have two alternative viewpoint articles over here from Board Game Wire. Board Game Wire coming out with a article from Star Realms Wise Wizards, Star Realms maker Wise Wizards, when they did Draconis 8. That was it was done through AI art. More specifically, before you get into it, more specifically, their artist decided to use AI tools in his process, so they didn't like just do. They had an artist, and the artist used AI tools to do it, and he goes through the whole process. It is, regardless of your opinions on AI art, I think there is a difference between the level to which it's utilized. You might think they're all bad, that's okay. I still think there's a difference in the way that they are utilized and how bad or not bad they are. And Wise Wizards goes through kind of covering this, defending usage, talking about it. I think it's a great article to read from Board Game Wire that will give you a bit of introspective into their thoughts and opinions as to why they're okay with it in this particular situation. Equally, on the other hand, we have Kyle Farron over here from obviously famous from Root, basically giving a lot of disdain for AI art, the process of it, and anything to do with it. Which, the combination of these articles, I've been wanting to do a conversation about AI art for a long time. I've held off on it for a variety of reasons, mostly because I want to be well informed, I want to get the opposing viewpoints. I've done that several times. I will probably have an AI art topical conversation for you this week. You don't have to agree with it. Half of you will, half of you won't. That's the way these conversations work, but I do plan on getting into AI art. Later this week, we'll have a video for you. But separately from that, in the news area, we have Board Game Wire covering both viewpoints over here, which I think is great. One up the same day, both those covered. I think it's a great way to do it. And that's all we have for our news of the week, which brings us immediately to our creator highlight, which is an interesting one for this week. In our creator highlight series, we point out, or I point out, various people who I think are an asset to the video game, to the board game space, not the video game space, in different ways. And it could be creators, like, you know, it could be, I'm saying YouTube, Instagram, it could be content creators, it could be designers, it could be artists, it could be whoever. And today we are focusing on Aldi, Scott Alden, the owner of Board Game Geek, which is one of those things that's funny because some of you probably know who this is, and others have never heard of Scott Alden, although you almost certainly have heard of Board Game Geek. You see, Scott Alden, again, his username is Aldi. He goes by Aldi. I don't know if he goes by Aldi at a personal level. I know a lot of people will call him Aldi. But he basically is the creator of Board Game Geek, along with somebody else whose name I unfortunately don't remember. I believe he is the more prominent face of Board Game Geek, but he and someone else co-created Board Game Geek. Was it 2009? Is that when it happened? It was a long time ago. I don't know exactly how long ago, but they created Board Game Geek, which is the obvious and most well-known associated website for board game users. It's the place you go to find more information about board games. It has had many other sites have tried to mirror what Board Game Geek does, and none have lasted, practically speaking. Ultimately, Board Game Geek is the be-all and end-all of board game places. Doesn't mean there's not room for other board game sites in different ways, but it means Board Game Geek is the ultimate board game hive mind. It's where users go. It's where topics happen. There are people who are very much not fans of Board Game Geek because of the moderation they employ, and I get that. I think moderation is always a complicated conversation, which is not what we're getting into today. Today, the point is more about Scott Alden is a very involved member of the board game community. He's on various podcasts, various, YouTube shows, whatnot. He runs, right now, the reason I chose this week to talk about him is currently they have Board Game Geek Con currently going on in Texas. I believe they have 2 events every single year, which I have sadly not gone to myself yet. I do plan on going at some point. I definitely want to go. A lot of my friends go there, and I know Aldi personally, and so, I'd love to go at some point. I will make it happen. Just hasn't happened yet. But he is someone who kind of operates a little behind the scenes and has been a huge asset to board games. Whether you like Board Game Geek or not, whether you approve of moderation or not, there is no question that Scott Alden has done a lot to further the board game hobby by creating one of the most visited sites in the world. I think it's amongst the top 2,000 visited sites in the world and the #1 site for board games. He's done a lot for the hobby. Whether, again, you don't have to agree with everything, he has certainly been an incredibly influential person for the hobby, and today's creative spotlight is Scott Alden, otherwise known as Aldi, the creator of Board Game Geek. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move into our, what's it called? Let me pause this over here. We're going to move into our schedule of the week, or videos of the week, not schedule, videos of the week. Videos of the week we had on, what did we have? We had Sunday. Sunday we had the games added to the collection this October. Again, I've been managing to maintain how many games get added to the collection, which is hard because the inherent reality is on a regular basis, I find new games I like. But that also means that on a regular basis, games have to leave or the collection is growing. And as it is, I already don't play all my games, so I need to keep the collection maintainable. But so far, I've managed to keep the growth to like 1 game a month, which is still 12 games a year, which is still too many. So we're going to see what we can do about that. I did do a campaign purge, so hopefully that will help with the numbers going down a bit. But either way, that was Sunday's video, games being added to the collection in October. On Wednesday, we had the best games of 2024, the best 10 games of 2024. Yes, it is early for that video. This is hard. This is like, so let's give a little bit of a inside baseball around this, because there are some people who are like, hey, isn't this a little early? Are you fishing for views? And the answer is yes. No, just straight up, yes, I'm absolutely fishing for views. So let's get a little bit of background information around how this works up here. So, the best 10 games of 2024 went up this past week. Why did it go up now? Because December is going to have, hopefully if things go well and as planned, December is going to have like 10 days in a row of the top 100 games of all time, and that's going to be December's focus. And so I could push this off to December, but I'm already trying to cramp the videos that will be going up in December while taking 10 days out of the schedule. You see, I normally put up a bunch of videos. I put up top 10 lists, I put up live streams, I put up reviews, I put up all these videos, and for 10 days straight in December, I am cutting that out. They're all gone, and I will have to deal with all the same videos I'm trying to do, but with 10 fewer days than normal. That means that I'm already running a tight ship in December, and so my options for the best games of 2024 would be either for further condensing December, which I don't want to do, but is doable, it's an option, or alternatively putting it up in January, which, I mean, hey, it's the best top 10 games of 2024, January would be a good time to put it if you're thinking purely logically, so absolutely, or I could put it up now in November. Those are my 3 options. Once December is squeezed, I'm not going to add more to it, so I'm taking that off the table for my own 2 cents. Then January, I could do it, but this is where we get into the reality in which if you put up the top 10 games of 2024 in January, as opposed to late December or mid-December, you're definitely going to have fewer views, because the reality is this kind of content does do well, and being first to the punch does matter. I hate to say it. Like, the reality is, like, there's lots of YouTube games I do not play. I don't play the clickbait game. I really try to avoid it across my entire channel's history. There have been like 2 or 3 times where I've done like a title you could argue is clickbait. I really try to avoid it in general. I try to go with what I think is what I really genuinely feel. If I say something about, like, you know, best new game I played, it will be an infrequent title that will show up when it's the best new game I played. I try avoiding leaning into anything clickbaity. I try to avoid playing any of these other YouTube games that feel a little bit distasteful. But trying to be early with content, that's a game I'm okay playing. Now you might sit there and say, okay, great, so fine, I hear you. I hear you want to be early. That's totally, by the way, but I just want on the same page. I'm fighting an imaginary battle against like 3 people who commented. That said, I'm feeling defensive about it because I hear their point, and so that's why I want to give the explanation. That's just where we are here. But I recognize most of you are totally cool with it. Most of you didn't care, and we're all good here. But anyways, as far as where I was at, oh yeah, so as far as the video, so there is a part of me that feels like putting it up too early hurts the integrity of the video, because, I mean, how can you call it the best games of 2024 if 2024 is not over? And my answer to that is, how can you call it the best games of 2024 if you haven't played all the games of 2024? No matter what happens, there's going to be a lack. That's the sad reality. There's always going to be a lack in my ability, or anyone's ability, to say the best games when you haven't played all of the games. Now, you could make an argument, maybe over the next month, I'd be able to play 2 more games and my list would be slightly better informed. I hear you, but there's always going to be a gap, and I already gave the reasons as to why January is off the table, because I don't want to be last to the punch. I don't need to be first to the punch, but I don't want to be last to the punch, and December's off the table because we're already cramming the schedule. So in other words, you have the best 10 games of 2024. This is also, by the way, this is why every single year I do a series of videos looking back at the prior year. So in 2025, at the end of 2025, at the beginning of 2025, whatever it is, at the beginning of 2026, I do it at the beginning of the year usually. So at the beginning of 2026, I will do a video of my best 10 games of 2024 again, because I'll have actually had opportunity and time for me to dive into more and to be able to revisit that list and see if it held up across either playing games more or adding more games to the list. I do a series of videos, usually 3 to 5 videos every year, that are looking back a full year back, now that we've properly had time to try more and see more and give more time to games. I think that's usually the best in terms of the look back, but again, it's also a year later, so it's certainly not first of the punch, which is why I try to do that hybrid model as much as I can first of the punch, and then a little bit down the road as well. But ultimately, yes, views do matter. If I'm putting in the work, the views matter. They do. I'm not going to pretend they don't. I am going to say that I try to be mindful of which tactics I use to get more views, and I engage with the ones that are palatable to me, and I try to avoid those that aren't. Anyways, this was a random tangent that I wasn't planning on going on, but that was Wednesday's video. On Friday, I had a Poland vlog, a vlog of my visit to Poland and GameFound. You know, in case you want to see that. Honestly, I'm not quite as happy. I need to get better at my vlog skills. It's something I really want to get better at, and I think my vlogs are okay. I don't think they're great. I think they're okay. I'm just between me and you. I think there's content that I'm very good at, content I'm okay at, and content I'm bad at. I think the vlogs are okay, and I want to get them better. But again, I find the tricky part is I'm usually actually enjoying myself in the moments, which makes it very hard. But either way, I keep doing it because I don't want to just give up on them. But also they're good for memories. For me personally, they're good for the memories down the road. Anyways, that is what we have for the regular videos of the week. Pertaining to the games I covered this past week. Games I covered, we have several. Starting off, we have Storyfold. I may have given my thoughts on Storyfold. I don't recall, but in case I didn't, there was a Storyfold preview, the short version there. I think I did oh, that's why. I gave my thoughts on the weekly live this week. This week we also had a weekly live, and heavily went into a bunch of things, including Storyfold. But Storyfold is a game that I overall very much enjoy. This is a preview. Meg did the preview. I did play through the tutorial and the game. I like Storyfold. I think it is a good system. It's rewarding. It's fun. My biggest concern is I haven't played more than a single scenario, really, because the tutorial is on... One second. The tutorial is on Rails, and so I've only gotten to play the on-Rails scenario and then a single scenario after that. And I enjoyed it. I liked it. Instinctive rating is a 4. Do not hold me to that. I need to play a game more to see if that holds up across multiple plays. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it gets better. Sometimes it gets worse. Instinctive rating is a 4. I liked it. I think it's a good system. It gives you good decision-making. It's a fun little solo puzzle. I enjoy Storyfold. Moving on, we have Western Legends Stories. That was a review went up later on Saturday for that. Western Legends Stories is great. I like it a lot. It's a game that I don't think I'll keep after I play through the story arc, but even though there is replayability to it, I just have enough games that I usually find I don't dive into games again, even if they are replayable, because there's so many games like congratulations, I'll finish it and play it. I need to go to the next thing. That said, I have gone back to some legacy games, so you never really know, but I really like Western Legends Stories. I gave it a 4.5. I think it's a very fun system, but that is being elevated past the gameplay because of how the story arcs are. So I liked the desire to keep going and to keep exploring in it. So I really enjoyed it. But it is definitely driven by that exploration and not just the game itself. We have Avalon, the Riven Veil. I gave a 5 out of 5 to that. There were 2 5 out of 5s. Honestly, it's been a good week for games. I gave 4.5 to Western Legends Stories, and then a 5 to Avalon, the Riven Veil, and then a 5 to Lands of Evershade. Both Avalon, the Riven Veil, and Lands of Evershade are fantastic. In case you're wondering my own process, I debated whether Avalon, the Riven Veil gets a 4.5. I did debate that. I like it a lot, and it's high enough that I did decide to give it a 5 because I really enjoy it right now, and I think it's doing a really good job. But obviously more plays can change things. You know, playing a game a handful of times is not the same as playing it 10 times, and things can go down. So I did debate the 4.5, but it did crest over to a 5. But in case down the road, if you're looking, because these things are always hard to do, I always try to go with, I try to be mindful of where I think a rating is, at least for now, and a little bit. I don't want to give it a 5 today if it's going to go down to a 4.5 tomorrow. But ratings do change over time. I think Avalon the Riven Veil could be a 5 for a long time. It could drop to a 4.5. I'm unsure, but just in case you wanted to know my thoughts on that. But I really like it. I think it's a great system. I really enjoy it. Watch the review for more thoughts. But right now, I would love to play it again. The card play is absolutely excellent. I really enjoyed it and really recommend it. Lands of Evershade, I had no such doubts. Lands of Evershade was a clear 5 out of 5 to me. It was an incredible experience. I'm really looking forward to it. I just watched, right before this video actually, I watched Shelf Stories review. They are very critical. Like Shelf Stories, kudos to them. There'll be a creative spotlight in the future. Shelf Stories can be very critical to a level that I don't always agree with. Absolutely not. Like, we've had differing opinions. Like, I loved Brink. They were very mad on Brink. It's happened before. It happened again. They, what was it? Last Light, was it? Last Light, they were very mad on that. I think Last Light is excellent. Shelf Stories is definitely a channel that I find can be very critical. And if you watch some of the explanations of their ratings, they go into it. Like a 7 to them is not necessarily the same as a 7 to us. So a little more critical in how they express it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Just again, just watch the ratings. But they love Lands of Evershade, and which is it's good for me because I guess I don't want to be the person who loves something if everyone else hates it. That will happen from time to time. That's the way things work. But I don't want that to be the norm, for sure not. And in the case of Shelf Stories loving Lands of Evershade when they're fairly critical on Awakened Realms titles, and I said Lands of Evershade is probably one of the best Awakened Realms games I've played, and Shelf Stories said the same thing, so at least we are aligned on that. It doesn't, again, if we disagree, it doesn't mean one's right or the other's wrong. That's not what it means, but when I'm this hyped on a game, I do like that external validation. I'm human and I like external validation. But either way, Lands of Evershade, 5 out of 5, amazing experience. Does not mean that you will love it. It does not. But there certainly are several people, myself, Shelf Stories, several people had a chance to demo it at Essen who are in the comments saying that it was the best game they've ever played from Awakened Realms. So I think Lands of Evershade should be one you have your radar, you should have on your radar. It does not mean you'll enjoy it, but there's a lot of people who think it's the best Awakened Realms game they've ever played. Later, we had Tatsumi. We had a preview for Tatsumi. This is one that I did get a chance to play. I thought Tatsumi was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. It's a good abstract puzzle. It did not wow me. Instinctive rating is a 3.5. I think Tatsumi is a fun game. Later, we had a preview for Monarch. Monarch is not a game I played, so I can't give you thoughts on that. That's a asymmetric butterfly movement game. I believe they canceled the campaign, unfortunately. They'll be relaunching at some point, so not much you can do about it anyway. Then we had a preview for Starlock, another one I did not get a chance to play, so can't give you my thoughts on. And then we had a preview for Clandestine, so a bunch of previews. And again, Clandestine is one that I did not play. A bunch of previews this week that I did not get to table myself, so I can't give you thoughts on those. But then lastly, we had a review for Harmonies. Harmonies is excellent. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It's an excellent game. I've been playing it since Dice Tower East, so it's had a while to sit there and what's the word? For the opinion to settle, which I like. I prefer when opinions can settle. Sometimes it's too easy for a game to either be high when I play it and then it settles over time, but by that time the review has been given. Other times it's impossible for a review to be a little mediocre, and over time I'm like, but I kind of want to play it more. Like Canvas is one of the times that happened to me the most, where Canvas is one where when I first played Canvas I was like, it's a 3.5 out of 5, and it has continued to grow for me. It is an excellent game. It's a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I think it's a tremendous game, but it took time for that to happen, but these things can certainly happen. And that's basically the videos of the week, or the games we covered this past week. As far as the schedule today we'll have a review for Nyakuza going up. Nyakuza is a new CMON title. It's a reprint of Orango, and then we'll have a review for Catharsis as well. A review for Catharsis should be going up as well. That's an active GameFound campaign. As far as next week we'll have several things. We should have my Purging campaign games video. That is a video I've been talking about for a few weeks now, and I finally refilmed. I had a video, I filmed it, the audio was gone, it is what it is. I had to re-film it, so there's a series of 2 campaign game videos going up, one this week, one next week, probably. We'll also have a conversation around AI art, which I told you about, as well as a 2 back or not to back. If things go well, we should be finally back on track with 2 back or not to back, hopefully, and then maybe a stalker unboxing, as well as, of course, several other videos going up throughout the week. As far as the games on the couch, as usual, these are games I hope to be tabling this week. We have more Teneris Expeditions. The content for this goes up on Tuesday, so I need to play this one more, so hopefully getting some more table time with that. We have Holotype. No, I'll save my thoughts till later. I was going to give you some short thoughts, but not yet. We have Holotype, which is one that I've had since Origins of this year? Last year? I've had it for a long time. I don't know how long, but I've had Holotype in my collection for a while, and I need to sit down and table this, so I hopefully will table this week. It's been too long sitting there unplayed. I'm trying to knock out some older games. We have Unsettled in honor of Vestige going up. We're diving in through some of Oneb's games. Vindication we talked about last week, and we have Unsettled that I hope to be playing this week. And then what I really hope to be playing, if things go well, is Arcase. I read the rules for this recently, and I hope to be tabling it as soon as possible. Did I cover this did I say last week that I was playing it this week? I don't remember if I did, but I was hoping to play it this week. I didn't. Now instead, I'm hoping to play it next week if things go well. Anyways, that has been your news and week in review. Until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.